So, I'm definitely not an expert on Blake Lively and her husband, Ryan Reynolds. I have seen them. I do think and have thought that they make a very attractive couple, but I have sort of, I haven't gone to the movies in many years. I haven't, look, since I've moved from the US, my life has changed drastically. So, one of the things that has changed is movies. I don't go to the movies. So you're looking at close to 13 years. I have no idea what's going on, what the movie stars are doing. So anything that I know about American celebrities would sort of pertain to celebrities who were famous 20 years ago. You know what I mean? All the new people and Blake is relatively new in from my point of view. I don't know anything about her. I did hear about the fact that her and Ryan, or she and Ryan, got married on a slave plantation. And I'm going to be honest, once I heard that, it did trigger a button in my brain, in my cerebral cortex. So I kind of filed her in a certain place where I don't hate her, but I am perhaps wary. Is it Wary or Wary? Wary of her and Ryan because, I feel like some people can be very, very beautiful and you get really drawn into them, into their lives and their story, especially when they're celebrities. And then you find out things about them that it's just so heartbreaking that you feel like so personally heartbroken. So I've learned to, first not get too involved in the lives of these types of people. And then when you hear something like that about her, about the plantation, and then she also had a website that sort of glorified the antebellum woman and the antebellum South and so on. You definitely are wary of her, but you're still kind of indifferent and you don't really care and you don't really pay attention, and it's like whatever, she's never going to be my BFF and I'm never going to have a blog about her or whatever. So why am I even bothering with this story? So I heard that she starred in this movie called It Ends With Us, which is based on a book, a very, very, a New York Times best-selling book, um, that was turned into a movie. And the story was about domestic violence. I didn't read the book and I haven't seen the movie, but I've read that Blake Lively is getting all this backlash because of how she has gone about promoting the movie, which she stars in and which she produces. I think she co produces it with the director and lead actor in the movie, Justin Baldoni, I think is his name. And so the public is a bit outraged because you have this book and movie about domestic violence, which this woman stars in, and she goes about doing the PR for the movie in a very blasé, sort of tone deaf manner, whereby it just appears that she absolutely has no real concept, and my battery's very low, about the seriousness of this social issue. At least this is what her critics are saying. And she's using it to, she's using the PR um, appearances to promote her new hair care line and talk about her clothes. And, people are just digging back into her deep past to, castigate her and to accuse her of being a bully and just all of, they're unearthing all of these things about her and quote unquote canceling her simply because of the way that she's gone about this PR with a movie about domestic violence, which people feel she is tone deaf about. So I thought, oh, that's an interesting topic. And, Again, I'm not an expert on Blake Lively. I'm definitely not an expert on domestic violence, knock on wood. I don't really have any personal experience with that crap. Oh, and let's hope I shouldn't have giggled. People will start telling on me. Well, let's hope I never do. But, my grandmother had extensive experience with domestic violence. And while I never personally witnessed her husband hitting her, I heard all the stories of the horrible things that he did to her prior to his untimely and violent death himself. And he had a bicycle this is back in the day. This is my grandmother we're talking about, who's now deceased several years, and she died at 80. So we are going back a while. And, so her husband had a bicycle for his transportation, and his death, you know, he died when I think a truck, basically ran into him, and he was killed. And he wasn't killed immediately. I mean, he suffered over quite a long period of time with internal bleeding. And I say that to say that, I mean, he was a very, very violent man who died a very, very violent death. And that's really my only experience with domestic violence. Now, let's get back to Blake. And this movie, she clearly, I think one of the problems probably with this is that she has not had any experience with domestic violence herself. She knows nothing about it, so she can't really feel what she has never experienced. She's fortunate in that she personally has never experienced domestic violence and probably has probably neither has anyone in her family, like her mom, her sister, her grandmother, something like that. I mean, even with me, with my grandmother, it's such a distant thing. It's not something I personally saw. I only heard about it. It's still hard for me to really wrap my head around something like that. I know that throughout my life, because of her, I've it's always been in the back of my mind. It's always a fear. I always look for signs that a man potentially could be violent, you know, before, getting too involved. And knock on wood, so far I've been very lucky. Now, not to defend Blake Lively, because like I said, I'm indifferent to her for different reasons. But I think that if we can sort of try to see it from her perspective and why she might have thought that this is the way to promote the film, I mean, I don't know, probably it's a possibility, is that what she's saying is, don't let other people's behavior and misconduct define you and limit you in any way, even in a situation where you've been a victim of domestic violence. Now, I say that, with many caveats, because I have not been, so I don't really know what someone else is really, really feeling in a situation like this. And maybe it does define you for the rest of your life. Maybe it's not something that you can just forget about and brush off water on a duck's back and pick up and be your sort of blasé self with your outfits and your bag and carry on like nothing ever happened. And I'm not even sure that that's what Blake is saying, but I get the sense that what she's trying to say is yeah, define yourself no matter what life throws at you, which is easy for her to say, admittedly, because she's never been through anything like that. And someone would reach back into her past and say, well, that's why you would get married on a slave plantation, because you have no point of reference to understand what that might have meant for someone who actually went through that, or to their family members who have to hear these stories. You just have no point of reference. So what you're saying and your whole attitude is offensive. There's that, right? There's that. And I understand that totally. But I also feel like, for me, it's so hard to imagine not laughing in my life and not being my happy self just because I got into the wrong clutches of the wrong man or something. And, having him, you know, abuse me in a domestic situation. I've been lucky that this hasn't happened. I hope to God this continues to be the case. And for those people who that has happened to, I mean, I don't even know what to say in a situation like this. I would almost be tempted to see it in Blake's way of, please don't let this monster define you. Don't let this monster take away your joy or your love for things, however frivolous other people might think these things are, whether it's clothes or perfumes or, having beautiful hair and beautiful skin and, just being your inner beautiful self. Don't let what happened to you take that away from you. But, so it's not to excuse Blake, because why should I defend her? But in a way, because I guess I'm just as clueless as she is with this particular subject matter, dear God, help me that this continues to be the case. um, from a personal standpoint, it is that I would tend to say that even for myself, is that even if something like this happened, don't ever let anybody else define you and take away your natural joy for life and your laughter and and so on and so forth. But look, Blake is going to be okay. She's a very, very beautiful and privileged woman with a beautiful husband and a house full of beautiful children. She's going to be okay. I just thought I would, you know, put in my 10 cents. Hopefully, this isn't going to offend anybody on my YouTube channel who are here to hear about Harry and Meghan, but they're relaxing in Montecito, so I'm just doing some filler um, commentary in the meantime, right? So, yeah, that's all for this one. See you in the next one. Take care. Bye.